We are now 7 days away, and I am very excited to bring you this video. Why is that? Today, it marks episode one of making you better, helping you out. These are the videos that usually, not only do they do the best, but they probably provide you the information that you're actually looking for when you search PGA Tour 2K25. And these are going to be the tips, the tricks, the tutorials, the beginner guides, and everything you need to know to help you improve at this game, as well as make your character the best player that you possibly can get. So let's dive right on in. You guys know this is going to be episode one of, I'll call it the beginner guide, the tutorial guide. We'll figure out the name down the road, but right now I want to get you this information, and it's going to span across things. Today is all about setting yourself up for success, setting yourself up for straighter meters when that game comes out, and testing some things out now in the demo if you have the demo, and figuring out what works for you. So we're going to give some tips, as well as what a lot of people have already been asking me, what controller settings I use on my PlayStation Edge controller. We'll cover that at the back end of this video, but let's dive on in. And just so you know, tomorrow's tutorial beginner video is going to be all about the attribute point system and the skill points, and going through exactly how those work, what they mean. And if you haven't seen my video about respecing, don't be wasting your VC just yet. Make sure you're paying attention to these things. So let's dive on in. Here we go. Right now I'm at the range here, and I'm just messing some things around, and we're gonna go. Tip number one is a very simple one, but it's one that a lot of people probably really underestimate, and that's your chair. What you're sitting in, whether you're in a rocking chair, whether you're in a computer chair, whether you're just in a chair that doesn't have any moving functionality to it whatsoever, having a chair that has elbows security. So like I have arms here on this chair, probably can't see them because of my camera, but having the ability to lock your elbows down on arms of a chair is very important to helping you keep the controller straight, right? So if I have my arms both level and I need to keep this controller straight, being able to go down and up will be a lot easier. Obviously, I have my left arm there off the controller, so what happens? I pull it to the left, right? So like things like that, changing your shoulder is something that does not get thought about enough when it comes to playing well in this game. Having your shoulders square, having your arms locked in, allows you to keep the controller in a strong hold, so that way you can get straighter meters and much more efficient hits, right? Point in fact right there, straighter meter, much more efficient hits. That is tip number one. Get a good chair with arms. Tip number two, also something that people overlook. Where are you looking? Where are you facing, right? So if you're playing on a TV screen, a computer monitor, whatever screen you're playing at, you need to be facing that screen. If my screen is over here, this is my right side, it might be flipped for you on my camera, but if my screen is over here and I am facing over here, my mind subconsciously knows the game's over here. So when I push, I'm going to push more towards the right, because my mind knows, hey, we're pushing the ball towards the hole, which is over in this direction over here, right? So what you want to do is set yourself up for success. If my screen is over here, I want to be facing the screen square, so my subconscious knows we're pushing straight. Because a lot of the times, I know we have a new access swing, it's going to be very important to know where square is and where straight is on this game. So these are the things that you need to be paying attention to. Number one, get a good chair. Number two, make sure you are facing your screen, TV, whatever it actually is. Face it parallel, square on, so you can hold the controller square to it and you don't let your mind and your subconscious take over of where the hole actually is. Tip number three. Tip number three is going to cover you down when it comes to the top of your backswing and being able to efficiently hit the numbers you want to hit. And that is all about paying attention to your golfer, right? So there's no more real swing meter that goes over your head. You have to pay attention to the right side, right? So the right side, you can see this little blue circle that is expanding. This blue circle expands into a red circle. Once the blue circle hits red, that means you have overswung. So if I go past it and I hit red, I have overswung. You see transition, overswing, 84% there, right? So that means that I went past the top of my backswing, the equivalent of hitting like a 102 or a 103% in previous games, is your overswing there. So you can see those are over swings. Now, pay attention to your golf, all right? So you can feel the vibration in your controller, or you can pay attention to where your blue circle turns red. That blue little circle that's expanding, you want to hit it just before it gets to that gray line. If you want, you can try to hit it right on that gray line, but just before it is always ideal. 81% perfect right there. Just before it is ideal. So how did I do that, right? So what I did is I used my hands. I used the golfer's hands to help him out, right? So you can see I feel the vibration, or I'm paying attention to when the circle hits the gray right below the zipper or the button or the collar buttons on his shirt. So the chest pec area, you can see right there, right where his hands are, right there is all I'm paying attention to. I'm not really paying attention to the meter. I can pay attention to the vibration if I want to, but a lot of the times that gets distracting. Find a spot where your hands cross a certain point of your golfer and use that as your aim point in which you want to hit. So I went a little bit too far there, but that's right. 81% is perfect. I'm on 82% right there. So it's not too far off. It's pretty close, but it's much better than where it was. So like 82%, is it perfect? No, but that is getting me right into the ballpark. I just need to go a little bit below it. There you go. 82%, a little bit below it right there. So that is tip number 3. Use the visual cues. Use your guys' hands. Use the putter head, the golf club head, whatever you want to use. So tip number 4 is all about rhythm. All about rhythm. There is no more calibration in this game. At least there's no calibration that we have seen, that we have tested. There is no more calibration in this game. It is all about you adjusting to the new Evo swing and figuring it all out, right? So when it comes down to hitting shots, there is your rhythm, which is going to be your downswing transition, right? So you can see there that the inner gray circle, there's an inner gray circle. I went 0.02 seconds over that, which is going to add increased distance to my shots. And it's the same like the old fast and the slow swings, right? So this is the difference between fast and slow. Before, if I went slow with it, that was actually perfect. You can see there's a little blue circle in there. Hard for me to go slow, but I try to get a slow one here, but you're going to see there you go. There's a slow. Negative 0.03 minus 2% power, which means it's not going to go as far. You saw the circle go a little bit there. Now, how do I hit consistent rhythms consistently? I give it a second, right? I give it a pause. I don't try to get to the top of my backswing. If the top of my backswing was my shoulder, if you just paid attention to the last tip, I don't try to accelerate really quickly as soon as I get to the top, because then you're going to see 0.03 seconds there, right? I essentially let it go past that point and I try to relax and I try to catch it on the way back down as if it was a pendulum. So it goes past it a little bit and then you catch it on the way back down. 0.01, that's pretty much perfect right there. We're getting less than 1% additional power. It's pretty much spot on. So that's exactly how I do it, right? I get to the top, I see where I need to get to, and then I try to catch it on the way down in a nice fluid manner in which I am not overly excessively jamming the thing forward. If you do need to go faster, you have to push it faster forward. If you need to go slower, be a little bit more relaxed, take a deep breath, stop acting crazy. You're going to be all right. All right, 0.01s, which is a 0.5%, which is pretty much going to the exact distance that it's supposed to go to. All right, so that is tip number 4. Don't be too quick to go forward on that spot. Try to catch it on the way down. If you go past this spot a little bit, you give it a little bit of a pause at the top, kind of like a Hideki swing, you're going to be much better off than if you just try to quickly turn the corner when it comes to the actual, swing itself. You try to just be too quick all the time, you're going to always just hit over your percentages and it's going to cause issues. So just make sure you are nice and relaxed. You take a deep breath and you hit fluid swings like that. There's your perfect right then and right there. All right, so that is tip number 4. So now that those tips are covered, let's talk about the controller that I use and a little bit of something that you can purchase to increase your accuracy when it comes to the actual controller. And first off, let me just caveat this by saying you can make this game work and you can be very good at this game with just your base controllers, your base PS5 controller, your base Xbox controller, whatever it is that you actually use. There's one thing that I purchased that's very cheap, very inexpensive, and then there's obviously the PS5 Edge controller that I use. So we'll talk about that in a second. But first, I do want to talk about something that I have on my controller. You will see here, and if I zoom in, we'll go to this one. We'll go to this camera real quick so you can see it. I have a little purple adjuster, also known as a Kontrol Freek, right? So what this does is it increases the height at which I am toggling the joystick. They have them like just a base one, and then they have even taller ones here as well. So I used the lower level one. It also has little grooves on it so that way you can pull more accurately and feel exactly what type of spot you're actually in. And what this does is it increases accuracy. So you can easily find them anywhere online. They're called Kontrol Freeks. You can find them ranging between $5 and $20. That is something that I put on my controller, and it really helps me when it comes to pulling back a lot straighter. My meters are a lot straighter. Things are not as wonky when I have my Kontrol Freek on my joystick. So all you got to do is search Kontrol Freek. Like I said, there's 2 different sizes. There's one that just goes right there. That's the one I use. When I get to the taller one, it doesn't work as well for me. So I just purely use that smaller one. So that is something that I do use. Now, the reason why I use this Edge controller, and like I said, I am not advocating people to go spend $200 on a controller. What I am advocating people for is to make sure you have a controller that doesn't have stick drift in it. Stick drift is when the stick just randomly starts spinning away without you even touching it. You do not want a controller with stick drift. If you are getting a meter that goes to the bottom and then jerks up the side of the circle, you probably have stick drift with your controller. You can use like nail polish remover, or you just got to get the dust out, or you have to buy a new one if it's gone to no repair. So that is something that I will say, try to find a controller that doesn't have stick drift. That is probably a must when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to my Edge controller, this is the reason why I love the Edge controller, is because, and I'm not saying this is the only controller that has it. There's plenty of pro controllers that have this functionality, but this gives me the availability to change custom profiles based off of the game that I'm playing, and that is very important. Now, when it comes to my stick sensitivity and what I use, with the left stick, I keep it base. I don't adjust it at all. I keep it based. Why? Because the left stick is purely just trying to get your aim and accuracy as quickly as possible. I don't really want any delay when it comes to that. The right stick, I am a right stick swinger of the actual golf ball. So I adjust my right stick. I change my sensitivity curve from default all the way down to precise. Minimum input is registered when you tilt the stick. Good for making precise movements. Highly recommended in like fan shooting games. Now, what is this game all about? It's about making a precise movement in the joystick of a down and up. So that is why I use the precise setting. Now, I adjust my dead zones. You can see here the dead zone, right? If you look at the little blue circle on the right joystick, you can see a black circle increasing and decreasing. So that is going to essentially, if you have stick drift, you can eliminate any sort of stick drift by increasing the dead zone, which means it won't really move until like you get to a certain spot. So I put mine at 6% here for dead zone, and I do my curve adjustment at +2. These are the settings that I found to be the best for me. So that wraps up this video. 5 things I gave you. I gave you 5 tips on how to improve your game, as well as the full settings that I'm using on my Edge controller. So I hope this helped. There's going to be more tips. I'm going to show you exactly how I hold the controller in another video. I'm going to go through all of that. Tomorrow's video is going to be all about the actual game itself, how to understand what the attributes are all about, understand what the skills are all about, maybe some tips and exactly how you should target them. So stay tuned. Like I said, videos every single day going up until the release of the game. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you in another.